Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us to this panel with Brian. Brian, welcome to Miami.
Thank you very much. This is amazing. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We wanted to chat a little bit about what we've been doing with micromobility and talk more about the technology and solutions in terms of what Bird has been doing, but also, too, just in general in the marketplace and how we're addressing some of the complex city problems that exist in transportation.
Okay. Hello, everybody, too, who is connected online. And I think it's interesting to go a little bit through your experience. Brian, you have a broad experience in electrified vehicles and electrified mobility with Berktrix, I say correctly? Yeah. And also Segway, probably all of you have see those Segways doing tours on the cities. And now with the micromobility, and I say micromobility company, but it is big in tech, because you are producing a very, very special product, not only for the ride sharing, but also for consumers. Let me ask you, how many of you have used one of those Birds or other ride-share mobility? Okay.
That's good.
They have a lot
That's
of
great.
experience. I see some friends that they are also expert motorcyclists. Then they're gonna enjoy a lot riding afterwards the Birds. But Brian, tell me how the journey of being has been till now.
You know, for myself, I've been in micromobility and EV for like 20 years, so it's been a heck of a journey. But with Bird, it's been very rewarding, because what I've been able to see is like a lot of the planning over the last 20 years really come together in terms of offering like a transportation solution for that last mile of transportation. And the interesting thing is, when you look at most trips in terms of car trips, you know, the last mile to last 3 miles represent about 80% of all rides. So really, by putting these types of solutions in place, it's really reduced car trips, improved the environment, and a number of things. So it's been very rewarding from that perspective.
And tell everybody, because they are users, what makes Bird different to your competitors out there?
Good question. Well, it's a number of things. First and foremost, I'd like to think we're a transportation company. So, you know, that's a little different than what you see with a lot of the other companies in the market. But one of the biggest differences is the real reach in terms of sustainability. And what a lot of people don't know about Bird is we're built around, you know, developing our own hardware. And all of our hardware is really developed to an automotive standard. Well, that's something.
That wasn't a bird.
That's not on our scooter. But
yeah.
Really, being technology focused and partnering with cities and listening. Sometimes I think that's a lost art. You know, you have to listen, you have to understand what is required in the market, and then try to come forward with real solutions that are applicable and bring them to cities. And I think that's, you know, a lot of people talk about it, but doing it is something else, and that's what we're trying to do here at Bird.
When we were preparing this fireside chat, we talk about, in Spain, we call these things patín del diablo, which means the devil's curse or something like that. But and also, I mean, Bird is very concerned about safety. What are you guys doing to make those rides safer for the users?
Yeah, good question. So earlier I kind of mentioned technology and what Bird does. So if you look at our scooter here, what you'll notice is, you know, this is completely developed from a clean sheet of paper. What Bird has done is we started in taking consumer products and learned a lot, and then we had over 100 engineers in our Culver City facility, and we baked in things like ensuring we have automotive grade standard tires. I think from a battery perspective, we probably have the safest battery of any micro EV in the world. It has IP68 rating. What does that mean? Well, what it means is you could throw it in water. It's fully submergible. I always joke that when we've done investor meetings back in the day, we would start off and we'd let people take a test ride. Then we'd take our scooter and put it in a pool of water, show them all the vehicle systems, and then at the end of the demonstration, we'd pull that scooter out of the water and shake it off, and then let somebody take it for a ride. Well, think about that in your city. I mean, at the end of the day, it rains, you have inclement weather, so any company that brings a product to market, and I learned this being in the industry for many years, you need redundant systems, and your battery is probably the most crucial. It's all about powertrain and drivetrain, and that powertrain has to be protected. So we've taken steps in terms of our hardware to be very safe, and we've done a lot of things on our product end, like Safe Start. Just giving you a small example, but imagine late at night in a city, and how many people have ever taken quizzes on have you ever seen I'm a Robot on your computer? You have to select the different images. Well, what BERT does is it makes you answer a question before you take a ride. So it's kind of like a sobriety test, so to say. So we're doing things to try to help the city stay a bit safer. And I'm just giving you a small example. We do a number of things.
Do you have a video about the last technology in safety?
We do. We have a video with that. We also have done a lot in terms of our GPS development. Okay. And around the GPS, how many people have taken car trips and you get super frustrated because you're like one street off? Drives you a bit crazy, right? And you can't quite get to your destination. Well, what BERT has done is we did a partnership with a company called U-Blocks and developed a sensor fusion chip. So our GPS now is accurate within 10 centimeters. So what that allows us to do is imagine now you can map city sidewalks, set geofencing, and so we can actually set up a city and detect where sidewalks are. So if you cross that threshold, we could reduce the speed, not allow a rider to ride. We can also do things like set up parking stalls and virtual parking stalls where we can end rides in a city and only in specific areas. And that really helps cities in terms of clutter and keeps the traffic in the right places in terms of keeping vehicles where riders really need them.
What is your main concerns on your responsibility as a global policy responsible for the company for the future of the micromobility? What is your line of work every day on that topic?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I'd answer it a little bit differently. I'm a little older, I have some kids, and the way I look at it is I want to leave this world a little bit better for everybody, including my children. So every day when I get up, I think about that, and in terms of sustainability, I want to make sure that I feel good about the products we're offering. Okay. So if you've ever heard me before, I always kind of mention something that micromobility is not one size fits all. So when I think about what I do every day, I want to make sure that we're addressing things like accessible vehicles. We have not just scooters, but bicycles, but really listen to cities and understand what our partnerships really mean to us. But it's not just that, but also, our mission is to take cars off the road and reduce the carbon footprint. So every day I'm trying to think about things like that and how to develop new partnerships and put more product on the road to enhance our mission.
Because we have many users in the audience, how do you recommend them to look at they're going to find a lot of scooters. If they have to decide which one to ride, what will you tell them to check on the scooter, for example? Wheels, you talk about how long is the board?
Great question. So anybody that's ever ridden a bicycle or a regular scooter, it's a lot of it has to do with performance, and performance really allows you to be a bit safer. So if you ever have ridden a Vespa scooter, it's all about getting off the line quick to get out of any trouble that could come up, things like that. When you look at a scooter, what we've been able to develop is you don't see any exposed screws. It's rear-wheel drive. It has a very torquey motor. So in this case, it's more about ergonomics and rider comfort. So when you look at other scooters in the market, what you'll notice is, everything kind of looks the same, but when you actually ride it, it feels much, much differently. And I would really implore you to get on a Bird 3 if you haven't. And one thing we're going to do today is, at the end of this, we're going to set up a small demo outside, and we're going to demonstrate our sidewalk detection and parking technology. And if anybody would like to take a ride, I think once you get on one of our scooters, you would notice the difference. But to your point, I think it's all about the comfort. I mean, if you look at our deck, it's a bit bigger. If you ever were to ride, you'd notice we have pneumatic tires. Others do have that, but we use automotive grade tires. So we try to make sure we set that automotive standard in terms of our development. But I think you had the pleasure of riding one the other day, and it does feel a little bit different.
I mean, it's mandatory. There is a Grand Prix now with the scooters outside. We have to go, everybody, and ride them. It's going to be super fun. And don't forget the helmet, by the way. You have helmets to give away at your stand, which is great.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So if you come by our booth, well, let me back up. Anybody that ever is a Bird customer, you can log in our app and get a free helmet and have it shipped to you. I think that's something that every company should do, but also we're giving them away in our booth, so please come take one if you want one. The more you take, the less we have to take home with us. So.
I have 2 more questions, but you are all invited to do your own questions and also to join us outside for the ride. But talking about the batteries, how do you imagine the batteries of the future and how those batteries are going to affect your product for the standpoint of the ride sharing, but also for the consumer products? That, I mean, it's important to know that you can own your own Bird, right?
Yeah, again, our mission is to try to reduce car trips, and we realize we can't operate everywhere. We're in over 400 cities, but we also sell consumer products, things like e-bikes and scooters. You can buy them on our website or mass retailers around the world, even dealers. But in terms of your question around batteries, what we look at is like a curve for kilowatt hours, in terms of power and what we see in that ratio of power over time and cost per kilowatt. But particularly in our Bird 3, we have the largest battery pack, I think, available in any scooter. It's about a kilowatt hour. What that means is we can leave scooters, what we call in the wild, for up to 3 to 5 days between charging. But from a range perspective, I mean, it's about 50 miles per charge, which when you think about a micromobility product, that's pretty far. But I'd like to stress again, too, these are IP68, so they're super safe in that regard.
For give you a benchmark, for example, the new Hummer, which is a 9,000-pound truck, has a battery of 200, and you have a battery of 1 kilowatts per hour, which is pretty good for a device like this.
It's a little smaller.
Yeah, a little bit smaller, yeah, for sure. And let me ask you about the ecosystem, because it's not only that you're going to use the Bird, you can do, of course, if you are a consumer, you can use also the ride sharing if you're traveling to another city. What is the ecosystem give me as a Bird participant or a Bird community?
Yeah, good question again. So again, being a transportation company, I think it's really for us to make it as easy as possible for anybody that would like to ride a scooter. Or e-bike or anything within our system. So first of all, we really partner with cities, and we do things like integrate accessible vehicles in our app. We integrate partners. So like in Nashville, I don't know if anybody here is from Nashville, we recently did an integration with WeGo, with the bus system. So not only do we put scooters right next to bus stops, but you can actually go on their app or in our app, and it's a joint communication. It's also something we just did in Madrid as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I invite you all to watch the videos at the Safe Rider Education that you have, that I think is very important from your side, guys, to educate the consumers on this product. And I mean, we are between the coffee break and the ride outside. Do you have any questions, guys, that you want to ask Brian about? We didn't talk about the price of the scooter. You're gonna buy it? I think it's pretty affordable.
Well, we don't sell our Bird 3s.
No, this one is not. This is the Bird 3, by the way, right?
If you go to our website or visit Best Buy or Target or a number of places,
okay.
It's about $5.99 for a scooter, and then e-bikes are $22.99. But e-bikes are a lot of fun. I suspect that half the people in the audience here own an e-bike at this point. They've been booming lately. So.
Okay. Do you have any slides that you want to show?
Yeah, I prepared some things, but this has been a good chat. Maybe the one thing I will show you is I have a video in here that will show you the sidewalk detection. Actually, if I talk a little bit about this, earlier I mentioned how accurate our GPS is and the development of our sensor fusion chip. Well, there's something called an urban canyon, and the problem is if you don't have line of sight for GPS, you can't really get super accurate information. So with the sensor fusion chip, it can take the sensors in the vehicle and integrate the motion of it and do something called dead reckoning. And an example of it is in the lower right of the slide. You'll notice the bright lime green dots. That's what like a standard GPS accuracy would look like. And then you see like the brown circles, that's our sensor fusion accuracy, again, within 10 centimeters. But that just really shows that we can do a lot in terms of managing our fleet and working with cities to make sure we have product in the right place and really transportation solutions available where they should be.